Hi, Marty.
Morning, morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
So my name is Greg Rockwell, the Director of Development for Jubilee Housing. Who are you, and what do you do?
So my name's Marty Mellett. I'm the Vice President for External Affairs, and I am the public face for Jubilee Housing in trying to make our mission public in the District of Columbia.
So COVID-19 has impacted a lot of people. How has it impacted some of our community's most vulnerable populations?
Well, Greg, let me speak directly to one of the most vulnerable populations, and those are residents who are incarcerated. So we have, I think you know that we have a program that serves returning citizens, and we are trying to make sure that those residents, before they come to our program, are being protected. So people in jail, people in halfway houses are probably the most vulnerable because they can't socially distant, and they're at risk.
Talk a little more about that. What's the problem?
So the problem is that we have a couple of thousand people in either in our DC jail or correction treatment facility or the Hope Village. And those are residents that are incarcerated or getting ready to go to trial or getting ready to come out. Prisons are not very healthy places, and they're pretty concentrated. So they're very at risk.
So what is DC doing to safeguard these residents and stop the spread of infection or protect the people who aren't infected?
So I think that there are a certain amount of safety protections happening. They're trying to isolate people in the jail as well as Hope Village where possible, but it's pretty hard to do that. So there has been a piece of legislation that's called compassionate release that allows the city to release people in certain circumstances. If people are at risk, people aren't violent offenders, people are on pretrial release, they would release them on their own recognizance or possibly in home detention, but to get them out of a concentrated facility. So that's happening a little bit. It needs to happen more.
Mm-hmm. Talk a bit more about what needs to be happening. We have some people at risk, people who don't need to be incarcerated. What should DC be doing?
Well, so on a case-by-case basis, DC should be releasing residents when possible if they have a plan to go home. The city, we certainly need more quarantine housing, and we need more temporary housing. We also need permanent housing. Quarantine housing, there are some residents that could go home. They could go home to their families, but the families are concerned about being at risk. So if there was a place, if the district would rent some hotel space for residents, they could sit there and quarantine for 10, 15 days, then they could go home to their family. So that's one piece. Also just renting some housing for temporary housing while they're trying to get their lives in order. That's another area that the city could do.
So talking about places to go, I know that there's a lot going on right now with Hope Village, DC's men's halfway house. What's going on there?
So Hope Village lost the contract to continue several years ago. Another organization received it, and Hope Village finally decided to get out of the business in the district. So they will shut down their facility on Wednesday, April 30th. There's about 120 men in there. Some have some plans to go home, but if you don't have a plan to go home, you don't have a place to stay, they will either send you back to another resident treatment facility or to another halfway house, or they'll send you back into jail. Neither of those are good options. So by Wednesday, that facility is going to be closed, and those residents will either be out in better circumstances or they'll be back in jail.
So when you say other halfway houses, is that in DC or where are these houses?
There are no other men's halfway houses in DC. They'll either go to Virginia, to Baltimore, or probably back into the Bureau of Prisons. All those options are not very good. These are men that have served their time, that are prepared, getting ready to come out, but they just don't have a place to go yet. So if they go to Baltimore, for example, they can't. It's very hard to travel down to DC to their jobs or to go to their health care. So that's a big problem. So if we could figure out a way to have them stay here, either in home detention or in some kind of transitional housing, it's better for their transition back to society.
So if people want to learn more about what's going on or get involved in some way, how can they contact you?
So if anyone is interested in kind of getting involved with this, they could contact me. My name's Marty Mellett. My email is mmellett@jubileehousing.org. I could connect them with some of the legislative advocacy work that we're doing around reentry. We work with the Reentry Action Network, which is a group that of a lot of nonprofits that are supporting the returning citizen population. So there are some options to try to kind of contact your legislators and one another to keep things moving.
Okay. Marty, thanks so much for your time. Have a good day.
You're welcome, and we'll continue to work on this. Thanks, Greg.